Hey guys, and welcome to LoWDown, new revamped show. Already getting our words muddled. That was well done. Basically, this week we're going to give you a whole load of new topics. We're going to give you a whole load of new features. Hopefully that we're going to keep if you guys like them. And please remember, if you have any questions or any inquiries, send them in via Twitter to any one of our panelists. Basically, if you search myself and then you search any of panelists with LOW on the end of their name, and you'll be able to find them. So let's get the show rolling. Big hey to everyone. Rensis, thanks for joining us again, man. How you doing?
I am well, thank you.
Good times, good times. Skeletor, how are we still feeling moderately Eeyore?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, I guess.
Krista, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, good. And Chris, are you there or are you disappeared? He's the man of mystery. He's gone every time. Paul will be joining us soon, so hopefully when he gets here, we'll get the ball rolling properly. But we're just going to open up today with a little bit of news for you guys, talk over a couple of the topics. I think this week it was made clear that, unfortunately, Sean O'Hare had committed suicide. And, it's a bit of I'm not going to say it's a bit of a shame, because it is a shame. I personally really enjoyed the work he was doing on SmackDown with the I'm not telling you stuff you didn't already know. But, I mean, he'd been out of the limelight for a long time, and obviously he'd been keeping a family life. So I say good on him for that. And it's obviously a shame for his family. So condolences to all of them. Ric Flair has also gone in for surgeries this week, minor surgeries. It can't be confirmed, but JR suggested it was possibly something to do with kidneys and liver. I would imagine if liver was the problem, we can all guess why. What can you say? 4 wives and divorces, you're going to drink a little bit. Yeah, we gone blue in the first hour. It's all fine. Rensis, have you got anything else you want to clear over the top for news stories? Anything you feel newsworthy for this week?
Champions coming up on the weekend.
Anything coming up on the weekend? I don't think there is that I can think of. Anyone got anything for the weekend, guys?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I said we got Night of Champions.
Not champions.
Well, we got Night of Champions, but I wouldn't say that's news. That's the plain obvious.
Is that a thing?
Everybody knows that's coming.
I like that, Chris. Is that a thing?
Where can I see this, and how much would it cost me?
Only $9.99.
And a lot more if you lived in Canada.
No, but where from?
On the WWE Network.
WWE Network.
Or do you mean what town is it going to be in?
No, I think he meant where could he get it.
That was the dumbest thing we've done.
Really, that was the dumbest thing we've done. We've done worse.
Yeah.
Bro.
We invited James on the show that one time. Oh.
Hey.
Nice.
Hey.
Nice.
Insulting our viewers live on the air, people.
Hey, this is new and revamped. Don't turn your back on the Wolfpack. We've gone through this. So anyway.
Usually do the impressions. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I'll leave you to your impressions, sir. Rensis, what topic are we going on to now, man?
We are doing...
We will give our listeners something new and something interesting.
You caught me right between switching devices.
That's what they call it over there.
Hold, please. I believe it is... I lost it. Go ahead. Oh.
See? There we go. What we got?
We are moving to Pop and Heat. Basically, Pop and Heat is a segment. Basically, Pop and Heat is a segment where each of us say what startled us or made us pop during the week, and what we thought was really awful and drew heat off of us. So,
Chris, I'm going to let you go first because you didn't seem all that impressed with Raw, so I imagine you've got a little bit to go.
Yeah, there's a lot of heat. The only pop that I can really show is the Big Show's aggression that he used in the Bray Wyatt match, which I thought was quite impressive. That to me was definitely one hell of a pop. In terms of heat, I'd have to go with the way that Cena magically manhandled Lesnar after SummerSlam. That's probably my biggest peeve at the moment with that. That drew some heat from me.
Skeletor, what you popping heat, man?
Biggest pop was probably an actually pretty dang good Kane Jericho match that opened the show. Like I didn't expect a lot from it, but I watched it and it was fun, and it had a really traditional like story point of heel exposes turnbuckle, face survives and avoids it, and then uses it against the heel, and then match ends. Like, it was just a good old school thing. It felt like something you would have watched a long ass time ago. And Heat for the whole halftime thing, that was really stupid. I don't know why they made that decision, really.
Okay, Krista, what about yourself? What's your popping heat for this week?
Well, I can honestly say that Raw was kind of lackluster for me. Jericho and Kane did a decent match. It was nothing to write home about, but it wasn't bad either. Big Show and Wyatt, I thought was pretty good as well. You know, Show coming back and showing that aggression. The fact that Jack Swagger beat Bo Dallas, I was kind of happy about that as well, because I don't like Bo Dallas. But as the Heat, I'd say Raw in general was pretty damn lackluster. For a go-home show on Raw, it was just the. I will also say, as a side note, permanent heat for me is any wrestler that comes out in white trunks. That should be outlawed, because they look like they're wearing giant diapers.
Good calls. Rensis, man, what's your popping heat?
Pop is bringing the pain on Monday Night Raw. An appearance, one of the rare appearances that we get on Monday Night Raw for Brock Lesnar. That's always going to get me out of my chair. Heat closing Raw rather than with the pain and Paul Heyman and the number one guy in your company, John Cena. No, that doesn't close Raw. No. You close Raw with Lana, Rusev, and Mark Henry. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a Mark Henry guy. I'm a Mark Henry Mark. But closing Raw with that, no.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Basically, my pop for this week, as silly as it sounds, is actually Rusev's being more aggressive. You know, for a couple of weeks I thought he was bland as hell. And all of a sudden he's came out, he's kind of hitting all these kind of snappy, quick moves. He's showing his size and athleticism again. And he's yelling almost after every move, and I think that adds to his character. So for me, that's a good thing. My heat, wow. I want to say the whole of Raw, but I feel that's a cop-out answer. So my heat would be Vince McMahon and Triple H not being able to book a show until the morning of the taping. That should never, ever be the case. You should have your show ready to go the night before your final draft. I know it's always been the case in wrestling that some guys will get their script 20 minutes before they go in. They shouldn't have to. You should be able to write a show and know what the plot line is going to be at least. And hell, know the running order. Like Renza said, the halftime heat thing, well, that's bad. Just bad foreplay and bad play and bad everything. They need to quit doing that. If that's the plan from here on out, I'm going to struggle to be happy with the product.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you on that respect. You know, if it's a one-off, if a guy gets hurt backstage and they have to do a last-minute change because, you know, stuff happens, absolutely. It's just, if it's every week, then it gets a bit tedious. They should at least have something mapped out.
Yeah, and that's just it. I mean, if they're going to have these random matches and random segments, at least back it up with some kind of story. Have your commentators say something serious about it, instead of sounding so befuddled and confused.
Yeah, like adding to the story saying, this was supposed to be so-and-so against so-and-so, but so-and-so was, you know, attacked backstage and he can't continue with the match because he's just too hurt. And then, so this guy is stepping in to take his place to, you know, champion on or something like that.
Yeah. Whatever happened to storytelling in wrestling? Oh, that's right. We asked for more wrestling instead of storytelling.
Well, you
There's
can
no.
still tell a story in the ring is if you've got the right to people.
Yeah.
We got the normally face-leaning Craig here going a little bit heel on the sports entertainment product right now.
Hey, you give me a pulp and heat section, I'm going to take the heat as far as I can go. It's a good show for years. They get heat for doing one bad show that I can stand. I'll say a streak of bad shows. There was 3, at least.
I thought last week was fine.
Quiet you.
Last week was better, but this week was down again.
I think this week... See, I think they do this on purpose sometimes. I'm determined WWE give you a bad go-home show so that the pay-per-view looks better.
I'm not even going to lie, I'm actually having to rewatch Raw right now. I'm to Reigns versus Rollins, and again, I'm sat here watching this and going, this is kind of nothing special.
It's mediocre. Thanks for joining us, Paul. How you doing, man?
I'm wonderful. How's everyone doing?
We're all good. We're all good. Can we get your pop and heat? I know you've just joined us, but can we get your pop and heat for this week?
Oh, let's see. My pop of the week that had to go to just seeing the Great Khali. I'm unfortunately I always like to see that Khali still has a job and that his knees are attached still. So to see him that just warmed the cockles of my heart.
Do you just wish he danced a little bit though?
That would have been awesome. And let's see, the heat of the night for me. Let me see. That goes to the crowd. Because they were just completely terrible. They infuriated me pretty much the entire night. They were just sitting on their hands. I thought the crowd was terrible.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
They were a fairly bad crowd.
They were awful. It was
the thing about it is, like, they popped big in certain parts, like in the ultra obvious, here, please pop parts, like when Cena comes out and stuff. But they seem to have no idea of what to do during the Cena, like, Heyman stuff and all that.
Yeah,
they just had no idea.
This is why I love it when wrestling comes to Europe, because as Craig can definitely vouch for, when they come over here, the crowd is always a good crowd. You don't seem to get bad crowd in England or Britain in general.
Oh yeah, your fans over there are just wonderful.
I think the reason we get... Sorry, you go Skeletor.
Well, part of the reason is they come through here like every few months. Like if you live in a semi-decent like city or area, you get a Raw every 6 months and a SmackDown every 6 months. So that means you get 4 shows a year coming through your area, plus a couple of house shows most likely.
We get I'm going to Raw in November. Unfortunately, no, it's not a Raw, sorry, it's a live event. We couldn't get tickets for the Raw because my mate couldn't get the day off work. But in April, we'll be going to the Raw, which we're hoping will be in Birmingham. And if not, we'll be going to a live event, or we'll drive down for Raw. It's...
I think the best thing about it for me, the British and European fans, these guys, they get it so nice because while we get the show less, it means that we can appreciate it so much more. Like, it doesn't matter how bad Raw is, you know that when you see the live show, you're going to appreciate it anyway, because you get the buzz from the crowd, and you get the general atmosphere. I mean, you can't really complain. Sometimes less is more.
Oh, agreed.
That's how it is out here in Western Canada, too. Like, we don't get it as often as the places in the States do. Or even in
no roads there,
Canada.
right?
Like, Toronto gets it quite regularly. That sounds really dirty. But Calgary, I think, sees them once a year.
It's like, when we do get it, the one thing I found is also crowds will go along with any chant that you are making. And you could, let's say Zayn comes out here and people start chanting Ole. Other people would join in. Just without knowing who the chant is for. They wouldn't know what the chant is. Even if Los Matadores came out, people would still chant Ole. Even if Cena came out, people obviously know, everyone knows the Cena one, but people do chant they don't even know just for the hell of it.
one of my favourite chants I've ever heard from a British crowd was with Sheamus, Santino, and Kozlov in the ring, and the crowd started chanting, "He's so milky."
The one I loved was when Brad Maddox came. It was after Hell in a Cell. He goes, "Everyone knows who I am," and the crowd started chanting, "Who are ya? Who are ya?"
Yeah, 3 minutes to get a Kane reference from Aaron, 15 minutes to get a Zayn reference.
No, I was trying to think of a wrestler that has a chant, but the wrestler isn't well known.
Well, at least like Kane opened the show. It's kind of an obvious point to go to.
Only for you.
Just a big hello to the 6 viewers that we have live right now that keep tuning in and dropping out on YouTube. So well done, guys. Thank you for joining us. Rensis, what's our next segment?
Thumbs up.
Checking the mailbag.
Checking the mailbag. Awesome.
Tweets
So
from the fans.
Tweets from the fans. Okay, so when the network comes to the UK, will it be $9.99 or are they going to do the exchange rate? What do you think, guys?
It is going to be £14.99.
So you think they'll put it up to 50 in the cost of a pay-per-view?
Probably.
I'm unsure. Francis, what's your thoughts?
I'm guessing they're going to stick with $9.99.
Yeah, I think it will be too. You can't release T-shirts with $9.99 on them and then have the British ones at $14.99. It just looks silly.
That's true, but even so, you've then got to put a pound sign on instead of a dollar sign.
That fake money over there.
You're made up.
You're talking about England or Canada?
I'm still amazed
It's
that
all
you
made
guys
up.
only get pay-per-views for like £15.
Canada also
I think
has
it's
made up
amazing.
stupid money.
Yeah, because it's not
Yeah.
real. So.
Yeah, it's not real. It doesn't have a president on it, and it's not green. It's not real money.
Canada has monopoly money.
Yeah, it's
Really? So does
Oh
crap.
Scotland.
yeah, they have like a
Plastic money.
duck on their coin and shit. Yeah.
That's not a duck.
yeah.
You mean Canada has actual paper money? I thought they were doing it on maple leaves.
They do yen. I think they
We
do
have
yen.
plastic
now.
money now. It's all plastic, just like Australia.
Oh, plastic money. Wow.
Wow,
Made out of
So-
sad.
They just finally got credit cards up there, so.
Are we all agreed then that they will stick to $9.99?
I guess.
Unless they do it like a channel that they've done in Canada.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it apparently is definitely going to be the app.
Okay, that's good then.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lucky bastards.
Next question. Neville is on fire after NXT TakeOver. Who do you think should finally defeat him for the title and why?
Oh, can Chris go first?
Chris, you go first. Chris, who's gonna be
Gotta
you?
work that gimmick, Chris.
Breeze.
Oh, Chris.
Oh! Oh, wow.
So lame, bro.
Swerve.
Swerve me, shit.
You know you wanted to say Sami Zayn.
Yeah, that Russo swerve plan.
Kind of, but the issue I have with Zayn is that he works better as chasing it, I think, than he does. Because the gimmick they've got at the moment is that he's obsessed with trying to obtain it. I feel that having someone like Breeze take it instead would work better for Zayn's character and also work better for Breeze's because, you know, his show-off kind of gimmick.
But he's got to
like
win it
to-
eventually.
I'd like to retort with that. If he gets the title, you can see how he works holding the title, and you could see a heel turn because he becomes obsessed with it.
That's true.
If that's how they want to run it, at least they're using all his character abilities down in NXT before they finally push him up to the main roster.
I can't remember the last time I saw like a 5'10" heel. I guess Brian in 2011. Like I guess that's it. It's been a bit.
We saw a what heel?
A short heel.
Yeah,
he's like
kinda.
6. He's like 6 foot though.
I
Oh,
thought
I
he
thought he
was
was
like
like
6'2".
5'9", 5'10".
But you can bill him as 6'1". So.
You can jump from 5'10" to 6'1".
They
Yeah.
did it with Rick
Yeah,
Flair.
Well, why not? They claim Big Show's like 7 feet tall.
Isn't he 7 feet tall?
Al
Yeah,
he was-
he is.
Generico / Sami Zayn is actually billed as being 6'1".
Yeah,
I thought
look at
so.
that.
He didn't used to be billed as that. I remember him not being billed
That's
as that.
because the indies. That's because the indies tell the truth.
Yeah, that's it.
He's got lips
Skeletor.
in his shoe.
What's your thoughts? Who's taking the belt off them?
I think I'm also gonna go Breeze because they've kind of gone heel face, and I think it's probably just gonna go to Breeze and let him see how he works as a heel champion, and then Zayn will probably be the one who beats him. Yeah, that sounds about right.
No, I reckon it'll go Breeze Kenta. Or sorry, Hideo Itami.
Francis, thoughts?
I think we're gonna have a heel NXT champion, but it's going to be Neville.
I'm with you.
I agree with that.
Okay, but the question was, who do you think should finally defeat him for the title, and why?
I think it's too far into the future. I think they're going to give him a heel turn and it'll extend the title reign. So too far into the future to answer.
That's a cop-out answer, but okay.
To be determined.
You know what? I'm going to say Sami Zayn gets the title and stays on NXT while Neville and Breeze move up to the main roster.
How about that?
That brings us to one of our other questions, doesn't it?
It does. I'll let you run it off. Go on. No, Chris, if you don't want to talk.
I don't actually remember what the question was. Oh yeah, is Zayn ready for the main roster? Paul, let's hear yours.
Oh, all right. Throw me under the bus. Is he ready? He's ready in ring-wise, because I think that he could have a good match with anybody on the roster. That's not in debate, but there's no spot for him. I mean, he's going to come in and he's going to be a mid-card guy, whereas in NXT, he can be a main event guy down there. So I say just for the sake of the product, keep him down in NXT. Let him shine down there. We don't need him up here yet. So
I'm almost agreeing with that, actually. I think his character needs a lot more development.
Oh, he needs a character, but outside of, fiery, hard-working babyface. He's Tommy Dreamer.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Skeletor, what do you think?
I'm just gonna parrot what Paul said, pretty much. He can just hang down there for a bit, work on it.
Okay, Krista?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't quite hear it, and I didn't want to interrupt.
Is Sami Zayn ready for the main roster?
No. I think he could do with a bit more time in NXT. It's nothing against his ring work. His ring work is good. But I still think that he needs a better gimmick and kind of a better personality. Everybody knows him as El Generico anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that Neville and Breeze would be better suited to come up to the ring. Although Breeze gimmick is much too close to the Miz's right now.
You stick them together.
Yeah, you could stick them together. That'd probably be the only way you could bring Breeze up. But as far as Sami Zayn, I would say leave him on NXT for a while. There's nothing wrong with being the main eventer in NXT because NXT basically is probably the better hour of wrestling coming out of WWE right now.
Right, it's a better show right now. Great point.
It is a better show.
I like Triple H compared NXT to college football, where it's a feeder system, but it's also like its own thing that some people only like it, and that's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah, but he also compared NXT to ECW, and he wanted to become WCW.
Yeah. To be fair, I can understand the comparison with WCW because he seems to be pushing for a lot of people to have gimmicks.
I think gimmicks.
We've had this discussion. Yeah, I agree. And this is where what people are saying about Zayn not being ready. I think he's ready, but he doesn't have the gimmick for it.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah, he's not ready. I mean, the only way they could really build him at the moment would be if he, made a save on Cena or someone, and he was billed as a big babyface guy. But other than that, there is absolutely no way they could introduce him and have him survive on the main roster.
Tell you what, to round off this question, Mo Hate on Twitter says, Neville is a heel champ with Zayn chasing, and Sami will ultimately dethrone him, which is much more interesting than a feud with Breeze.
I could see that, but I think that for the NXT system, you need to see how. Actually, yeah, I could actually agree with that. I'd like to see how Breeze handles a title run, though, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I want to see how Breeze handles the title run, but I like the idea of Breeze as this guy who doesn't even actually care about wrestling. Like, he's actually like a model or whatever. He just happens to be really good at wrestling. While Sami Zayn is his whole life.
But the other issue I've got there with that is, to me, NXT is a development system. It's for testing ideas. It's for seeing how people do. If you were doing a main roster thing, yeah, it'd be interesting to have Neville feud with a heel Neville feud with Zayn. But for a development system, I think it'd be more interesting to see how Breeze handles the title.
Yeah.
Are we moving on, or do you want to keep going with this topic just now? What do we think, guys?
Are we discussing is Zayn ready for the main roster? That's still what we're on?
Yeah.
We kind of tried.
Yeah.
We kind of sidetracked from it, but yeah.
Yeah. Is Zayn ready for the main roster? Zayn can work a match, a really, really good match with essentially anybody. He understands how to wrestle WWE style at this point. So absolutely, he's ready to be on the main roster. The real question is, what would his role be? And it's similar to some other guys. They're still at NXT, not because they're not ready to be on the main roster, but because there's really not a spot for them that's readily available. And that, to me, is a statement about creativity.
Well,
There are plenty of guys on the main roster who don't have a direction, who have nothing to do. Ask Sheamus. So I get it, and that's what they would say, is that we don't have room for Sami Zayn on the main roster, but the reality of it is they just don't have anything for him to do creatively right there, and that's more creative than it is a Sami Zayn issue.
Well, this brings me to another question that I've had asked recently by someone. This isn't something I got through Twitter, it's just something that was asked to me. The main reason with Zayn that I see is who you put him with the feud with, because there aren't that many top heels, there aren't that many people he can really work with that are top guys that he could put in and be put into a good position in the company.
If Zayn comes up, he is not feuding with a main event guy straight away.
What I'm saying is, if they wanted to bring him up and if they wanted to make it a big deal, they would put him with someone. But the problem is, you either have him fight someone in the mid card, which he falls straight into the mid card. You have him go into the main event, then go down to the mid card. But no matter which way you do it, who do you put him with that puts him over well? There's a lack of people that are being built up at the moment, which brings back to the creativity issue of, should they still focus on... Do you feel that they're focusing more on creating new stars at the moment, or do you feel that that's still an issue?
I think you're missing a little, and no disrespect, but I think you're missing a little bit of the point. You don't bring a new guy to the main roster to have someone put him over. That person should be able to get himself over. It really shouldn't matter who the other guy is just to get yourself over. Now, to have a great match and a great feud, you need a great partner. But just to get yourself over and just to have a few matches, you shouldn't need help for that.
I'm not talking about getting over in that sense. I'm talking about getting noticed, getting put into... to me, when you debut, you need to make an impact.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mean, like, who could he have a match with to make an impact on his debut?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is there's a lack of guys that he could really have an impact, that he could feud with to have an impact.
I would say if Christian was healthy, to me, he would be like the perfect guy for him.
Yeah, that match would be incredible, like 90% chance.
But I mean, they're saying that Christian's ready, but I mean, you can't really depend on him.
My other choice would have been Orton.
It seems a little too high for him right now.
Also,
I think if it was one match, I'm okay with one match, not a feud.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Who do you have his debut match with? Not necessarily a feud, but...
That's
how? Yeah. You can do it with anybody. I mean, shoot, John Cena, he debuted against Kurt Angle, so...
Yeah, but I don't subscribe to the they need to make an Impact first night thing. Like Randy Orton wrestled Bob Holly and hit his stupid overdrive move like on SmackDown.
But
That was it.
it shows how helps if they make an impact. I mean, let's look at Cena again. Cena and Angle was an example of Angle was a big guy, not exactly a big guy, but he was quite a big guy at the time who, for Cena to go in and have a match with him, first debut match, it made a bit of an impact compared to somebody who, let's say, goes in and has his first ever match against Alter Ego.
I don't know, man. Like Edge was a second-rate crony to Gangrel.
Exactly.
Like,
Who was Bray Wyatt's first match with? Who was, who was Daniel Bryan's first match with?
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan's first match, Chris Jericho on NXT.
No, on the main,
Brian was the next, wasn't it?
on the main roster.
Justin Roberts.
We all know who won that one.
But
Yeah, the lawsuit.
First match. I don't think is that big of a deal.
Yeah, and I don't think that they're going to bring him up with much fanfare anyway.
Okay, let's
Unfortunately.
let's move on from here then. Just now, Rancis, what's the next segment we're moving on to tonight?
Still got time for more if you got.
Think we got time for more questions? Okay,
yeah.
let's. This is a bit of a tough one because obviously it's going to take some thought. But what matches do you think will be on Survivor Series and why? Paul, let's start with you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that we're going to get Brock Lesnar defending the title against Big Show.
Yep.
Why not? We're going to have a traditional Survivor Series match, so I can see that being the Wyatts and Goldust and Stardust taking on the Usos and, I don't know.
Lost
Two
Matador.
Third faces.
Yeah, two random phases.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't really matter. Ziggler, I'm sure he'll still be in a feud with the Miz, so...
I think you're going to get Ziggler versus Wyatt versus Miz.
I like that. And is it too soon to say Cena and Rusev?
No, I think that's a good time frame.
Okay, so then pencil me in for that one too.
Okay. Skeletor, what about you, man? Don't say the same.
I'm not going to say the same. Okay.
I'm just going to piggyback on what Paul said.
Okay. I didn't have anything else to say.
I hate you guys.
I hate it here.
Kane, Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight
Okay.
Couldn't tell who was who, could you?
God damn. I am attempting to think of something. You guys are... okay. Okay. Friggin' Ziggler versus Barrett. I'm just gonna, maybe he'll be back by then. I would like to see that. For the IC title. Let's put Brock against... I'm just gonna say Mark Henry to be different. There you go.
What about Kane? What do you see Kane doing? That's Survivor Series.
Kane at most is going maybe we'll get some kind of authority other people tag match.
Oh,
which will
yeah,
have Kane.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Look at that, me just pissing around, and yeah, we came up with a traditional Survivor Series match. I like it.
Just don't like the bloody idea.
Yeah, just put if Rollins isn't doing anything, put Kane, Rollins, whoever the hell else you feel like, who's part of the authority. You can insert somebody in the next month or so.
Yeah, Cesaro and someone else.
Yeah,
Orton.
Orton, whoever, and then you have them take on some, baby faces who need to have a big pay-per-view match.
Let's go Reigns, Ambrose, Sheamus, and someone else.
The Survivor Series really books itself the traditional Survivor Series match. It's probably going to be Team Rollins versus Team Ambrose.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, that works. That's
okay.
better than last year's, which was nothing.
Yeah. Okay, so we're watching this card already. So.
Krista, what's your thoughts?
Well, I haven't actually thought that far ahead, but if I was just going by the seat of my pants, they, of course, will do the traditional Survivor Series match because it's tradition, and you know how fans like their traditions. I would say it would probably be maybe the last Authority angle we see for a bit, where you'll have like the Team Authority against the Team whoever, non-Authority group.
We can hope.
Where everybody fits on those teams, I couldn't be sure. I could see a tag title match, depending on what happens the Night of Champions, and who the champions are, and who will be the defending. I would like to see the Ascension come up on that pay-per-view. That's really all about I've thought about right now.
Okay.
I can see them booking. Lesnar will probably be retaining the title up to WrestleMania. I could see that. I could see him either facing off against Big Show or Mark Henry, for that matter. At this point, it's any game, to be honest.
Cool. Chris, do you want to go with yours before anyone steals any more off you?
I'm going to go with traditional Survivor Series match being the Authority versus Team Reigns. So you are going to see Rollins, Kane, Orton, people like that. You're going to have then, Rollins, Ambrose, etc. Probably Cena lobbed in there somewhere as well. You'll have Lesnar versus, I want to say, Sheamus. Because that is a match I would like to see, but I do see them going with Henry, the way that they're going at the moment. Wyatt versus Miz versus Ziggler would probably be a good shout. I'm hoping Cesaro will have a match. I'm hoping Christian will have a match. I can't really say who those will be against yet. Christian will probably join the Anti-Authority, or he'll join the Authority. Beyond that, it's pretty difficult to book this far ahead.
Francis, your turn.
Thank you for the question. Fun question. Too far in the future. Next question.
Okay, I think.
Can I make a quick statement?
The only one go for it.
Okay, I just want to say that I remembered that last year, Roman Reigns' Survivor Series match team, when that happened, his whole team got eliminated, and then he eliminated the whole other team. So I picture it going kind of like that, except maybe it's just him and Seth or whatever at the end, and then play it off like that, I guess.
Could be an option. I think. Just as one prediction, I think Cesaro takes the belts off Sheamus at Night of Champions, and I think he's going to hold it well past Survivor Series. That also gives Sheamus a chance to be free for any main event stuff that needs to happen. If you're going to have your traditional match, you get Authority versus, you said Team Reigns, Chris. I don't think it'll be Team Reigns. I think it's going to be put down to Team Seth versus Team Ambrose. But obviously Seth's team will be the majority of the Authority. So you'll get Orton, Kane, Seth, Cesaro versus Reigns, Sheamus, Ambrose, and probably one other, but I can't think off the top of my head who you'd put in. Maybe Mark Henry at that point. But to me, it's going to be faces versus heels as per usual. But I don't think they need to use all the main event feuds in there, or the main level feuds.
If I may, if they wanted Sheamus main eventing, Sheamus would be main eventing. The belt's not holding him back from that.
Oh, no, I'm not saying he's going to be main eventing. I mean, he'll be at that level, though. I think there's a space for him in that top slot. I just don't think he's going to be, going for the title.
He can be guy number 4 in Fatal 4-Way for title and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if they wanted him at the main event level now, he'd be there. There's no reason. There's nothing stopping him from being there. In fact, there's a massive hole at the top of the roster where CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Undertaker, etc. used to be. If they wanted him in the main event picture, U.S. title or not, he'd be there. So they don't want him there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if they take that title off him, though, maybe now is when they've decided they want to put him there.
No.
So they could easily do that as of Sunday.
It
is a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying there's a chance. We still got time for more questions, or are we moving on?
More questions.
More questions. Fantastic. You let me know when we're moving on.
I will.
Okay. John, who politely did all our new artwork and header photos for Twitter, has asked, would any diva work well as a Wyatt, past, present, or future? Chris, you first.
Chris or Krista?
Krista.
Oh. Past, I see China would have been a very good Wyatt. Same with Luna Vachon, because she was scary as all get out.
You stole mine.
Yeah.
You have two.
Currently, I could see Paige maybe being a good Wyatt, the whole anti-diva kind of thing. Honestly, if they were going to pick somebody that could use like an oomph, they could stick Eva Marie with them.
You know, you're taking you're like naming the entire roster here. We're going to have to throw you off of this.
Yeah, pick three. Okay. Okay, Loudmouth, your turn. Rensis, who'd you pick?
Paige, Eva Marie, Luna Vachon.
Go on, pick the rest of the roster.
No, I mean, really, Vachon would have been a perfect pick, and I think Paige makes a lot of sense. I think Eva Marie makes an awful lot of sense because she is kind of a person that stares off into space, and I think that fits what they're looking for, you know. So
to clear it up, by the way, when I say diva, it doesn't need to be WWE. It could be any company, female wrestler.
Yeah, I like those. Let me throw out a wild card since Krista took all the good ones.
Sorry, babe.
How about Karma?
Yep, Karma had been one of my thoughts. Skeletor, your turn.
Let's say, I don't know. I guess Paige, because she's the most vicious one. Yeah, that's about it. Like, I don't think it's entirely necessary. And actually, for Paige herself, I think it might be a step down for her, as she has her own thing, and being randomly pulled into somebody else's thing might detract more than it gives.
Fair enough. If I'm going to pick from any other company, I would pick Daphne, that was in TNA for a while, maybe. I think she'd be a really good Wyatt.
Winter.
Wait,
Winter
would be good as well. Tara, maybe. Or Victoria, as she was known in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, what's your thoughts? Who would you say is a good diva for the Wyatts?
Paige, Karma would be good ones. AJ, possibly, if she goes crazy again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say I could have seen Lisa working. In a very unusual way. If they altered her character a little bit, she would have gone well with them. Other than that, it's very difficult for me to say because the Wyatts have such a weird gimmick going for them.
I think, it is difficult because obviously the divas tend to be put across as girly. It's very rare that you get one that's not. Paul, have you got any other suggestions you would like to add to that?
Oh, yes, I do. My number one pick. Look at that. Nobody picked it up. Mickie James.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I was thinking it, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, she's. I just think that, she could pull off either crazy or normal. No matter what, it would fit. So, you plug her in there, you make her Sister Abigail, life's good.
Yeah, that's actually probably the best. Paul's right. Change whatever I said.
Well, I was honestly hoping that when they brought up Paige, that they were going to bring her up as Sister Abigail.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting.
I think that would have worked.
Yeah, but she has her own shtick now, so I think it's a little late.
Oh, she would have had this would have been when she came up.
Yeah, that would have probably worked out.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question then. Is WWE lacking a good script with drama? Do you feel there's not enough drama in WWE?
There's not enough good drama. I mean, there's plenty of drama. I mean, because we see that with the Bellas, but it's not necessarily good drama.
I was gonna say that it's drama. It's just bad drama.
Yeah, the best drama we've had this year was the Daniel Bryan Authority thing. That really worked.
Yeah.
Well, right up until the ripoff from every teen slasher flick I ever sat through.
Well, okay, that was one Raw. That was one segment on one Raw.
Mistakes were made.
What are you talking about?
No. The Bad Slasher Week was one time.
It was more than one.
It was. There was the car thing. There was the pulling them through the
ring.
No, the ring thing was not a bad slasher movie thing. That's something Kane's done a bunch of times.
Yeah. Again, 2 points. Now then, we're focusing on the bad part of the Daniel Bryan stuff. Look at earlier in the year with the good stuff. And 2, Kane ruins everything.
Hashtag
Kane ruins everything.
When in doubt, Kane ruins everything.
No, he doesn't, guys. He's my favorite.
He kind of does.
You know what? That impression is far too good. I wasn't looking at my screen and I didn't know if it was him or not.
I can't do this.
The worst. It doesn't mean my damn tag team partner, Paul. Damn.
No, we're melding into one. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Hopefully not sharing the same map.
Do you know what? I think you guys have all summed it up fairly well. The drama that we're getting in WWE, it is the drama that you wish died in the womb, so to say. It's the drama that we could have, in that they've kind of gone, hey, we're an entertainment show, let's try and make everything uber entertaining. And they've kind of forgotten at times, like, it's okay to be a little bit cheesy, and it's okay to make the occasional Vince McMahon fart joke, but they've got to be able to balance that with the strong drama that we all love. Stuff that really brought us in, like the big storylines, e.g. who ran over Austin, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior,
Well, let's talk last Nitro. I mean, the best drama from last Nitro was the stuff with Cena, Heyman, and Lesnar.
Yeah.
That was really the only good drama from last Nitro.
Well, they need to learn how to balance the afternoon soapy with the prime time drama.
No, Vince has never been able to do that. So.
That was the best summary of this.
Yeah, that is.
Don't dick and fart joke.
Yeah,
Here's
that's perfect.
But
a
is
great
it what?
summary from one of our Twitter followers. Internet complaints create better drama than WWE.
Yeah, that is actually
It
true.
does.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem that you've got is, I mean, let's look at NXT TakeOver. The stuff with Enzo Amore and
God, I love that.
whoever it was that lost their hair, that was fantastic drama. That was really cheesy kind of early.
It was not drama. It was a pure comedy segment.
No,
It was soft.
It was soft. That was actually a drama, like the way that the guy ran away and everything. That was that was a pop for me. That was pretty damn good. That's the kind of stuff that I'm missing.
I saw that segment as funny. I don't really see it as anything else.
No, it was, and that was the good kind of drama, though. It was over the top, and it was
drama
fun.
and comedy are different things. They are considerably different things.
Unless you're Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Wow.
To me, there are two types of drama. There's the whole Edge, Matt Hardy, Lita situation, which is drama. And then there's the cheesy drama. And the cheesy drama for entertainment purposes is generally a little bit better.
Yeah, but Austin getting hit by a car or whatever, it was cheesy drama. The friggin' biggest loser guys on the NXT roster having a fight over their hair. It was not a dramatic segment.
Okay, we will not be calling Enzo Amore one of the biggest loser guys on NXT. He is gold.
He's good.
He is gold.
I like him a lot.
That guy is ready for the main event.
Oh, he is ready for the main event.
No, he's awesome. But have you watched his matches? That tag match he had with Cassidy 2 weeks ago. He got knocked out with one hit, and
Yeah,
Colin
but
had to drag him to the
Enzo
corner.
and Fake Test don't get anywhere together. He's great as a mouthpiece. I would love him as a mouthpiece, but as a wrestler, nah.
He's fine as a guy who gets beat up in a tag match, so that Cassidy can be tagged in sometimes.
He is the equivalent of Rockstar Spud from Brooklyn.
Yep. Yep, that is a fantastic comparison.
Hold on, Spud is on an entire other level though.
Oh, Spud is awesome.
He's a reason to watch TNA.
Yep.
I love his reactions. Like, his facial expressions sell everything so well.
Yes.
I just wish that they would give him some kind of time in the ring occasionally, where he looks mildly threatening.
Well, he's 4'3", so I don't know.
Big at all.
Anyway, let's move on to the next question.
That leads me to a question. Do we feel that all wrestlers have to be 6'4", built massive?
No.
No.
Look at Wyatt.
Because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of things.
Easy answer,
right?
no.
There's a lot of things thrown around the joke then about being 4'3" and people being vanilla midgets and whatever the hell's going on with that crap.
No.
It's not a joke on Rockstar Spud. Rockstar Spud's
Spud
incredibly
really is
short.
like, yeah, but Spud really is like 4'8".
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
that's
like legit about a midget. Like
Chris
that's
Benoit.
a completely different category.
Chris Benoit's the best wrestler I've ever seen. And, he was under 6 foot. So
You can't
Eddie
say
Guerrero. Oh, I can say it.
Who?
Chris Ben?
Voldemort. Sorry. Eddie Guerrero. He was
Oh, Eddie
right
Guerrero.
around 6
Yeah,
foot.
I can agree.
One of the
Eddie
best
Guerrero was amazing.
Rey Mysterio. He needs to ride in a car seat.
Chris, if you
So,
want to
in
put
one
this
of the
as
best
a size comparison, see how small Spud actually is in real life, check out, this TV show Snog, Marry, Avoid, right? He was on that, standing next to the host of the show, who's 5'3". He was shorter than her, and by a considerable amount.
Yeah, it wasn't like a joke I was making. He is actually 5 feet tall at most.
Less than that.
Yeah, I said at most. He's upper fours probably. He's incredibly small. He's should be wrestling El Torito and Hornswoggle.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to a question, and I know that the person who asked me this has been asking a lot of questions about Brock, and we felt we should address them on the show. So, if you're listening, Rohan, here's for you. If Brock Lesnar did want to be a full-time wrestler, would you have him as a full-timer? And if he did do that, would he be any less special?
I would have him turn up on every Raw, not necessarily wrestle or have a confrontation on every Raw, but I would still make him only have a match. I'd have him have a match once a month on Raw and at pay-per-views. But you make it a big deal.
There is no sane promoter on planet Earth that would not love to have Brock Lesnar as a full-timer.
Okay, but would it make him any less special?
No, but I do love the gimmick of I don't wrestle unless it's for I wrestle when I get paid to wrestle and not a minute less.
Yeah, it's they used to have those kind of guys all the time. They've kind of dwindled, but there used to be just guys who were rolled into a promotion for a few months and did stuff and then left and then come back for a while.
Sounds like Rob Van Dam.
Well, what I mean is, to me, on tonight's Raw, last night's Raw, when you saw Lesnar walking around the ring with Cena, it was kind of like Lesnar was saying, "You're not worth my time. I will wrestle you when I have to wrestle you."
How dare you, sir?
He is the leader of the C Nation.
Doesn't Lesnar have a medical condition?
He
It's
did.
cleared, apparently.
Yeah, I think he's okay now. Diverticular. I mean, it's life-threatening, and that's why he ended up having to leave Real Fighting.
Yep.
But I mean,
Don't call it real fighting.
this is a guy that ruled the heavyweight division in Real Fighting with diverticulitis.
It's still real to me, damn it.
So, That's a really, really dangerous dude, and I think pretty much everybody would want him unless they're dumb.
I think another part to this question is, do you think there needs to be a title match on every pay-per-view? So if Brock's still holding the title, does he need to be on every pay-per-view?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ooh,
kinda.
Two no's, two yeses. I like this. Four-side, let's go with this. So, yes is why are you saying yes? He has to be on every pay-per-view.
Because to me, the pay-per-view is the big event once a month. The big event is when the title should be. It's just that. I mean, I wouldn't even mind if they made it was a pay-per-view once every 2 months and he wrestled then. But he has to be on the pay-per-views because that's what they're meant to be building towards.
Yeah, like I don't see a reality where there's pay-per-views that just don't have the top dude on them. Like I don't see that.
Though, does he need to wrestle at the pay-per-view, or because weren't there times when Hogan wouldn't actually wrestle on a pay-per-view?
That was
Yeah,
during
all the
like
time.
we have 3 events and one of them did not have him. Like we've kind of changed how things work. Like when Austin, once we hit the 90s and had a lot of pay-per-views, it's every pay-per-view.
Well, that was the question. Should he be on every pay-per-view? And for me, I would say no. Like maybe the bigger pay-per-views, like the traditional, like WrestleMania, absolutely. The Big Four, Survivor Series, absolutely. But does he need to be on, say, Battleground? No.
I do not want to see the title.
One of the mid-card titles, maybe that would be the title defense, or the tag titles be a title defense. But for every pay-per-view, for them to battle for the World Heavyweight Championship, because there's basically a pay-per-view every 3 weeks, every 3 to 4 weeks, I think you would get tired of it. But if you did it, say, at the bigger pay-per-views, it would mean more, and people would be more inclined to buy it.
But then what's the point of buying newer pay-per-views? Because the issue you then have is I do not want to see the main title of the company, which is pretty much where the company should be focused around, is that title happening once every 3 months.
And you can get it on the WWE Network for just $9.99.
I'd like to argue your point there on the main event. Sorry, the main focus should be the main title. No, the main focus should be entertainment on all levels, and then all titles are props. That's always the way it's been. Prop titles are prop titles. There doesn't need to be focus on a title, but the guy holding it should be made to look important.
Yeah.
Let me level with you.
Yeah, let me level with you.
I see what you did there.
That should be a new segment.
Like, is he going to say anything else, or is he just leveling with me?
Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck?
That was a great dramatic pause, too.
Yeah, that's a new segment for us. Let me level with you.
But it comes down to a point to me where I don't want to see a title defended once every 3 months, because then it comes down to the issue that I had with Ambrose having the US title of, well, why the hell isn't he defending the title?
Yeah,
No, but there can still be a story built around it. It doesn't need to be...
But they're going to run out of ways to do that after once or twice. They're going to run out of that. That's the problem.
If the match sucks, then it's like 3 months down the drain. Like, it's just gone. I don't know.
And then you've got to wait 3 months to see another match, which is probably going to be another rematch, because Cena wants another title shot at Brock Lesnar, because Cena can get a title shot because he's, well...
Yeah, we have the rematch clause as a concept, which... Like, if you space out title reigns like that, like title matches like that, then you wait 3 months for the rematch before we can move on to anything else.
And that's the biggest problem that I have would be the idea that, Lesnar's beat Cena, now I have to wait 3 months to see Cena versus Lesnar.
No, that's not it. You can
hold on, let me talk.
You can have both of those guys feud with somebody else.
Okay, don't let me talk.
There's a whole lot of bitching going on in here.
I have a question. In vein of, how we brought up the rematch clause. How many rematches do you think they should be entitled to, and how many times do you think they should have a run at the title before they go to the end of the line and the next guy steps up?
I think you should get one match and one rematch, and you shouldn't be allowed another shot until the person holding it then drops it.
I completely agree with that.
It's pro wrestling.
I completely agree that you should get one match, one rematch, and then for storyline purposes, you are no longer entitled to a match. He has proven that he can beat you. He has proven that he can beat you twice. He does not need to prove he can beat you a third time.
He basically goes to the end of the line until it changes hands.
But like Renta said, it's pro wrestling.
You need to book whoever sells. I don't care about that.
But that's where you then need to build more people to sell.
Yeah, because honestly, Brock versus Lesnar versus Cena over and over and over again at every pay-per-view because Cena figures he deserves a rematch. Sorry, but I'm not paying $60 to watch that.
Well, they're still in panic mode from the whole Daniel Bryan injury.
Yeah.
So they're just finally getting into past that, where, from what I understand, Bryan was supposed to get destroyed at SummerSlam, lose the belt, and then now we're at where we're at, with Cena being the first challenger. So.
Potentially, yeah, but to me, if this goes on to, let's say, Hell in a Cell, that shouldn't happen. Cena's last shot should be.
Well, in order for that to happen, then you're going to have to get into like even better storytelling. Then, where Cena's going to have to put something up, which then makes it intriguing.
An I Quit match. That's all it would need to be.
He's got to put something up.
He should put up his hustle, loyalty, and respect, and become a Heyman guy.
Exactly. You read my mind, sir. Look at that. I was leading you. Yeah, that's what I'd like to say.
Man. Okay, moving on to the next question. Well, actually, moving on to you guys' question. Did anyone receive any questions that they want to share from Twitter?
They're on the. There's a couple on the Hangout.
Brilliant. Give me a moment.
I think whatever I got, it went to all of us. So.
My favourite one out of Rentis' ones was Brock, Cena, Roman, Rollins. Do these feel main eventy? Will Night of Champions deliver?
Ooh. To me, Brock Cena, main event. Doesn't matter when it is. Brock Cena, it's always a main event. Roman Rollins, not so much. Upper mid card, tops. At the moment, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, you put that on the middle of the show, and you're going to be happy.
I'd like to see... The issue I've got with Brock Cena, it doesn't feel main eventy to me because they should have gone somewhere with it. They should have put an angle on it or a stipulation or something. They shouldn't have just done it's going to be a rematch and now Cena stands a chance.
The stipulation is it's a championship match at Night of Champions.
But something like for example, an I Quit match would have brought it up to another level.
But it's Night of Champions.
What's your point?
It's the title.
It's Night of Champions.
Yeah, it's the big title at Night of Champions.
Keep saying it.
Yeah, it's the big title at Night of Champions.
We've already seen the big title at friggin' SummerSlam, and no, it wasn't SummerSlam.
No, but that's not Night of Champions, though. Night of Champions, the gimmick of this pay-per-view is that it's for the championship.
But that was the same gimmick as every pay-per-view in the goddamn year, so that's...
No, it's not. No, the headliner for Mania a couple years ago was Rock Cena. There was no title. It doesn't have to be about a title.
And that was only once in a lifetime.
Yeah, until it happened again.
Or twice in 2 years.
We're waiting for thrice.
I wanna end every argument by going, "It's not a champions" at people.
That's right.
Okay, honest answer, I think the stipulation, since you were talking about it, this is his rematch, his last chance at it, and I think that's what they're trying to imply.
But that's... To me, it's a load of crap that they've gone from the whole, Cena's just got annihilated to Cena miraculously stands a chance.
Yeah, in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's a load of crap, and they should have had a stipulation attached like I Quit, which would have been feasible since...
He went away for a month and did his Rocky impersonation and bulked up and got stronger and studied the tape.
He got more respect and more hustle.
I love the idea of John Cena studying tape.
I think for me, the whole Super Cena showing up so soon, considering, Brock Lesnar dominated, like we're doing kayfabe, Brock Lesnar dominated the dead man, broke the streak, Deadman hasn't been seen since, but Cena comes back in like less than a month.
So is this a problem with Cena, or is this the problem that Brock beat The Undertaker, and because Cena came back so quick, it belittled it slightly?
This is the
I think
problem
it
with Vince
belittled it a lot, not just slightly.
This is the problem with Vince McMahon being too high on Cena and saying, we need to push Cena, we need to make him push people over straight away on the first week back, and we need to bring him back 1 week after, and we need to have him pushed as a main guy again. And it's like, well, Vince, let's be completely honest, you've just had The Undertaker been written off completely by this guy, and you're going to say that Cena's that overpowered that he's come back after 1 week and he can suddenly dominate people. And all of a sudden,
we're gonna get Chris some business classes to understand how much money John Cena makes for WWE.
I understand that he's a draw for the company, but to me, having him in a match against you could have him in a match against Rollins. If they built it properly, you don't need to have him against Lesnar again.
Can I state something, which is, even if Taker lost, even if Taker won that match, if he won, he would have been put out for a year. He's done that every year. He beat CM Punk and was out for a year.
Yeah, but the fact that they then wrote it up, the fact that they always do that, they do it as The Undertaker chooses to leave and then reappears. The way that they build it with Lesnar was, no, Lesnar's actually destroyed this guy and he's actually just
gone.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of people bring up how much merchandise Cena sells for them. If I'm not mistaken, Mysterio sells maybe not as much, but almost close to. And he has
not anymore, but yeah.
But you know what I mean?
That was
like,
way back in the day.
In his prime, he moved a lot of merchandise as well, but he didn't get the treatment that Cena did.
Yeah, I don't think Cena should be getting this treatment, even though he is, yes, the face of the company. I don't think it's right that he should be billed so biasly against everybody else on the roster.
Well,
the only person
when you run your company, Chris, I want you to go out and say, my biggest seller, I'm not going to sell those. I'm going to sell stuff that breaks even or loses money and see how long you do that.
Hulk Hogan didn't lose a match for like 5 years.
To put it in perspective, like, the only time John Cena has been outsold on merchandise was 2009, and that was by Jeff Hardy. Like, no one's came close since. Recently, Cena did an interview and basically said if he's not on a house show, that house show will pull 6,000 less than it would normally financially, because his merch isn't selling as much because he's not on the show. Like, that is the reason he gets pushed as much as he does.
Yes, he should be on the show, but he shouldn't be in the main event every single stupid ass time.
I think he should, but I just think there needs to be a different angle to it.
And he shouldn't be allowed to. I mean, you know, we all said it when he came back, and the first thing he did was lay out Wyatt, and everyone was like, well, that's kind of stupid as hell. And he came out and he laid out Rollins, and everyone was like, well, again, that's kind of stupid as hell.
Okay, but on your theory that Brock should have dominated him because he dominated The Undertaker, on that theory, okay, but let me finish. On that theory, not your theory, on that theory, the reason Cena came back and beat down Wyatt is because he's beat down Wyatt before. So there's really no issue there. I do think it's bad for Wyatt. Like, Wyatt's one of my favorites at the moment. I think it's a big issue that he's been put in that situation. But there was logic kind of behind it, if you follow that theory.
But if you want logic, you have Cena come back as a broken man, and then you have him go somewhere else, like Rollins, who Rollins is bragging about how he's going to cash in and how he's going to take the title that Cena couldn't capture and all that stuff, and you should have had him feud with Rollins or somebody else instead, and had somebody else step up to Lesnar.
Let me ask you all a question then. Would you rather John Cena got his rematch and got it out of the way, or would you rather that they waited another 3 months and John Cena was back in the main event picture again?
Get it out of the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, get out of the way. I don't get the argument here. They're just doing the rematch on a B-list pay-per-view, and then we're going to move on.
Cena's going to lose this match, and he's going to go feud with someone else. Brock will be on his own, and they can have someone else.
If I may insert the parenthetical, Chris just doesn't like John Cena.
I don't like the way he's built. It's not that I don't like him. I love the angle that he did, for example, on Raw, where he was getting aggressive with Heyman, but I don't like the way that he's handled by the company. I understand that it's for business, yeah, but I don't understand the fact that they can justify really just defying logic. I mean, in terms of kayfabe,
let me break it down to business terms for you. John Cena is the iPhone. They're not gonna stop selling it just because you don't like it. He makes half the money for the company. That's why
They
he's.
bring it,
But this is
they
why
bring
there
it
was
out in a new
nobody else.
colour and ship it again.
But this is why
Can
there was
I,
nobody
yeah,
else in
can
this
I
company.
just, can I say something about the King of Fruity Pebbles there?
Yeah.
I'm with Chris. I don't particularly like the way he's built, and I'll tell you why. Because basically what they've done is they build him as Super Cena, and he's the go-to guy, and they don't trust anybody else really on the roster, and when in doubt, they always go back to Cena. They've basically painted Cena, the man, into a position that if he screws the pooch, he is fucked.
He never
Okay.
has. But he
I'll
never
throw this-
Hogan.
has. He's
I'll
been
throw-
consistently delivering for a decade. He's been delivering at a main event level longer than Hogan did.
Yeah.
So what happens if, let's say, at Night of Champions, he takes a suplex wrong and he's written off with a broken neck and he can never wrestle again?
Then they do what they've always done and replace the cogs.
Exactly. They do. They elevate somebody else. They take the drop in ratings for 6 months or a year. They lose however many millions and millions and millions of dollars as they do, and they build the next guy. But if you have a guy, it's dumb not to use him. Make money.
What I'm saying with this is, it's not that they should have to build another guy. They should already have someone built up that they can just go to when they need him. They don't have to have only Cena, and that's the problem I have with the way that they built him, is that it's only Cena that gets built as, oh, it's Cena, it's Cena, it's Cena, and yeah.
Okay, dude, how many guys do I have to list over the last 3 years that they've built to a main event level? From Rollins, from Reigns, from
Also,
from
But they
Braun,
are main eventing, aren't they?
Bray Wyatt, CM Punk.
Chris.
Here's a dozen guys that they've built
Hang
in the last 3
on, before we answer your question, Krista, Skeletor, what were you going to say?
Chris, who main evented WrestleMania this year? Who? Because I can't remember Cena being in the main event match. I must be wrong.
Brian is the only guy besides Cena that they've really bothered with.
Well,
Okay.
they bothered with CM Punk until he left, and Dan
Not
Bryan
really,
got
because they gave him a
that's a-
half-ass title reign. Gave him, it was a 400-day title reign. How many times did he headline pay-per-views?
Okay, Krista, what was your question?
All right, hypothetically speaking, Cena takes that bad move and he is out of the running. And you can't say Lesnar. Who would step into his shoes today, right now, this moment?
Orton. Orton's the next best guy.
The answer is it doesn't make one bit of difference.
It does.
They will lose however many millions of dollars they have to lose over the next X number of months until somebody emerges. But it doesn't make sense to do that when you don't have to do it. You have a guy who sells now. You use him until he's not there anymore. You don't lose the millions when you don't have to be losing those millions.
That's called not having a good backup plan, which is...
No, that's not. No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
This is a
And
promotion. It's
11 guys
character-based.
were fired because he had to cut $20 million. What was up?
This is a character-based business, okay? If the same thing happens in any other endeavor, if The Rock hurts himself and decides he doesn't want to do movies anymore, whatever $250 million would have been made is not going to be made. The studio will lose that money. This is a character-driven promotions business. That's the way it works.
Let's take Krista's question. Hypothetically, for all the people that are listening, if you get in touch on Twitter and let us know your thoughts, hypothetically, if Cena wasn't there and he was injured at Night of Champions, who would replace him as the main guy of the company? Let us know on Twitter. The sooner you let us know, the sooner we can tell people what you thought. Okay? Let's swiftly move on from here before everyone gets too heated. They should have sat in the pop and heat section.
Nah, we get heated, man. We gotta get heated.
This ain't no Sunday night heat.
It makes for a good conversation, though.
But I do like Krista's question now. I don't want to know who you guys think would step up to that.
Okay. I kind of agree with what Renzo said. It could be anyone. Hypothetically, though, I think guys that could be used, Orton would be one. If they want to do it properly, build them up. Ryback when he comes back. I don't know. I mean, like we said, anyone could be used if they're used in the right promo package. The production team do an absolutely killer section for them. I think Orson would probably be the first one because they know he can work and they know he's reliable since he's not had any wellness issues in the last 5 years.
I don't think they have anybody, so initially it would be done ad hoc. You know, you'd have a little bit more Brock Lesnar, you'd have a little bit more Triple H, you'd have a little bit more of all the top names that they still have. You'd have a little bit more of each, and whoever gurgles to the top over the course of several months would get it. And they hope for Daniel Bryan to come back. They hope for, the hope that somebody develops. They don't really have a number 2 guy right now. Daniel Bryan was that guy, and he got injured.
Okay, Skeletor, thoughts?
I don't know. You can slot in a lot of guys. Like, I don't know when, if ever, I don't know when Debra is coming back. I don't know. But they just need to you just pick a dude. Like, there's a lot of good guys on the roster where if you just sat down and went, this is our guy now, and we're going to build him, and it's not going to go perfectly no matter what, but they can kind of fill a gap for a while until they really figure out who it's going to be. Like, if we've decided that we need friggin' Sheamus to hold the belt for 5 months until we figure out fight for the belt for 5 months, or whatever, until we find out what we're going to do, it's fine. That dude's like the third or fourth biggest merchandise seller, and if you build him, he'll be number 1. It's fine.
You see, the issue I get is that, yes, I can understand from a business perspective you have to balance it around merch sales. From an entertainment perspective, that's not always a great idea. To me, the only person, okay, again, but going back to my question, let's say Cena hypothetically gets injured at Night of Champions and is written off for good. The only guy that they could really use in that spot would be Ryback, and only if they built off the push they gave him last time. But other than that, Orton, to me, has done far too much jobbing recently. He's dropped from that position. You'd have to go back to 2009 to get him back into that position. If Kane, no. Big Show, no. Henry, no. You've got a bunch of guys that are being thrown around the mid-card far too much and aren't solid main eventers anymore, which is one hell of a problem that they need to be working on.
Okay, but hypothetically then, which one would you pick?
The only one I would pick is probably Ryback, because they could, again, go off the build that they gave him years ago.
Krista, who would you pick?
Well, if they were in a pinch, they could do Orton because he's been around and because he can work a decent match, and he's the guy that everybody loves to hate. They could do Ryback as well.
Okay.
If you'd asked me 2 years ago, I could have said Sheamus, but now, not so much.
Dude's still like number 4.
Reigns is still too green. I could see him being the future go-to guy, but right now he's much too green.
The guy that it's really telling that he's not been mentioned is Roman Reigns. That's really weird.
Well, actually, it's funny you say that. John literally just said on Twitter Roman Reigns because of crowd reactions.
That's really telling
me,
to me that we didn't come up with Roman. That's who they wanted to be.
To me, the issue with that is Reigns. The issue I've got with Reigns is the issue I've got with Orton. He's not quite. Yes, he's main event-ish, but he's not quite up there. And this is the problem that MLH8 just tweeted, which is 10 years no one will ever beat Cena much if they aren't booked appropriately or given a chance. The model is to build stars to feed Cena. That's exactly the problem.
That's the way. Okay. I'm gonna breeze over this, and then we're gonna drop the subject because we need to move on to other questions.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, this has gone on for years. There has been one top guy that has been fed talent. Look at Austin. Look at Rock. Look at Triple H when he was there. Look at Hogan. Look at Andre.
Freaking Bruno Sammartino.
Oh God. That's That's all I'll say on that one.
Bob
Oh, did
Backlund.
I hear
Bob
about Bruno? Hey, don't you say an unkind word about Bob Backlund.
Wait,
I was talking to Rensis.
Bob Backlund is amazing. Right?
That man had the best pile driver I've ever seen.
It is the best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the next question?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But I love that Chris sticks to his guns though. That's the best part of it.
Yeah, once I have an opinion, I'm standing by that bloody opinion. I mean, I do see it as a problem, and I do.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys hear Levels, or is Levels talking, or?
Yes. Yeah, I've had some some pretty intense conversations about that one too, and people that I've known a very long time, like on Twitter, and I get it, I really do. It's something that you say out of frustration, but if the one that I used was Coke and New Coke, that tells you that I'm old, but if you have a company that you frequent, right, and they change the signature item or one of the signature items that you've become accustomed to, but you like everything else on the menu, it's not really fair to say to that person that they don't have the right to complain that the company changed their favorite item. I understand it. It comes from a place of frustration, and I get that. But I'd really rather not say to fans, if you don't like one thing that WWE is doing, or if you don't like two things that WWE is doing, stop watching. Went a little too far.
Levels. Didn't you know that every Raw is the worst Raw ever?
Jerk.
Because friggin' like SummerSlam this year, worst SummerSlam ever. This Monday, worst Raw ever.
But every NXT is the best one ever, though. So.
Yeah, every NXT is the best one, obviously. So,
What
friggin'.
are we discussing, by the way?
We're basically saying these people that the ones that talk about complaining too much, basically saying that they're going to leave the product, etc.
Well, it's some fans. It's kind of the fan on fan crime thing that's been going all the way back to the CM Punk stuff. It's this idea that some fans are the right fans. In other words, I complain about the product because I'm a heavy consumer of the product, and I've seen every Cena match, so I'm tired of seeing Cena, and so I'm tired of seeing Cena. I complain about it. Well, you're not a good fan. Or on the other side of it, I love Cena. He's Captain America, and he stands for everything that is right and true. You guys who are complaining about Cena, you're the wrong kind of a fan. So, I mean, I think there's really just two different kinds of audiences. There's the people that are heavy consumers. They're going to want one thing because they if you go to McDonald's every day, you're not going to like it. If you go to McDonald's once a year, you probably will. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're always going to have this dichotomy. There's always going to be the heavy user that's going to complain about stuff, and there's always going to be the infrequent user that likes different stuff.
Well, I mean, I've been watching the product for about 3 years, or 3 years and like 3 months or so. I'm getting very bored of it. I mean, last night's Raw, I literally skipped through all of it, watched the Cena segment, which was, to be fair, I did love that Cena segment. But the rest of the Raw was very lackluster for me. And yes, I've said it was a pretty crap Raw, in my opinion. But I'm also not saying, I'm going to leave the product because it was one bad Raw,
I mean, like, I left the product in 2010, like, for 2.5 years. And it was, like, it wasn't, like, one Raw. I got more and more disinterested, and I started watching less and less. Like, I think it was Cena versus Orton feud number 86. And I was just, like, my interest was dwindling by the week. I just stopped watching. And then, like, it's just, it happens, and I feel like people need to accept that, but also, we don't need to use extreme hyperbole and be like, every Raw is the worst Raw ever. John Cena is the worst wrestler of all time. Crap. Like, I hate it. It drives me crazy.
Well, there is more product out there than just current WWE. I become disinterested with the current product, I will turn off Raw. I've done it plenty of times in the past few months. If it's not working for me, it's not working for me. I'll turn it off. I'm still going to be a wrestling fan no matter what Vince McMahon puts on TV, because there's 30, 40 years of history that I can go back and look at and watch and appreciate.
Especially now with the network.
I was going to say, if I had the network, I'd do the same. I probably wouldn't even watch that much of Raw. I'd be watching stuff like the WWE.
And I watch stuff that's not even on the network, so.
Yeah, me too.
The only issue I get with that is I like the storytelling more than I like the actual wrestling.
Yep.
So that's where I kind of stick to WWE because they do the storytelling better in the past. WCW or WWE have done it better compared to guys like Ring of Honor.
Are we just going to talk about how much we hate Ring of Honor again? Because I don't mind that, but we've
I'm just using...
We all know every Ring of Honor show is the best show. So.
I'm just using it as an example that it doesn't do storytelling as well as the main companies do.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there was another finish.
What?
I said, hey, there was another false finish.
I think for me, with the product, like you look at wrestling, how good it was, and then you look at the Raw afterwards, it was pretty good, and it seems to consistently get worse and worse and worse. And then you have one show that's, oh my gosh, this is so great, and then the next week you're watching going, what happened? Last week was so good, and this week it's kind of like, huh. Like I can ebb and flow through the 3 hours. 3 hours is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the ebb and flow through the 3 hours, but for the consistent 3 hours to completely, suck.
Yeah, I feel at times, I'll watch Raw, and I'll kind of watch and go, man, that was awful. But then I'll watch it again, maybe Thursday or Friday, and I'll watch it back and go, do you know what, this actually wasn't that bad. Maybe I just set my expectations too high.
The biggest issue I've got with it at the moment is simply the 3 hours. That's not me going, this should go back to 2 hours. I'm just saying, I personally get very bored after hour number 2.
Yep, I do too.
And that's where I kind of stop paying that much attention and I start skipping through it.
Yeah, but that's not there's an issue with that with the fact that they're on a network channel, not a network channel, but cable channel, and they're not gonna want to get USA is not gonna want them to take away content from them that gets them a consistent level of income week after week after week.
What you do is you break it up, and instead of using main event for things like Cameron versus Eve Marie that no one cares that much about, let's be completely honest.
That was a great
stuff. Okay. You put stuff like the third hour of Raw in main event instead, and you put meaningful stuff on the other shows. Because let's face it, SmackDown is the B show. Main event is the irrelevant show. Superstars is the even more irrelevant show.
Okay, I like my main event irrelevant. I like watching my low mid card guys actually get to talk and have segments and like do things.
And
Like
it's
that's
1
pretty much the
hour.
whole reason I watch main event.
But
But
Yeah,
that's
it's 1 hour.
for the first hour before Raw.
that to me could be Superstars. But the fact that we then have I feel like they need to break it up a little bit. They need to do some major storytelling away from Raw.
Yeah, but you can still do storytelling away from Raw though, because I would say the bulk of WWE's fans watch
Yeah, that's the bulk of your fans. Right.
watch only Raw.
But
Yeah.
the question you then have to ask is, do they only watch Raw because there's a lack of interesting content on the other shows?
Very fair question.
Right. So yeah. So how do you bring that? How do you bring those fans to watch everything else? Right.
But it's like when we had the brand split and Cena went to SmackDown, and the SmackDown viewership went up quite a lot because people wanted to see that content. And then it dropped again. But the problem is, which kind of shows that, if the content is there, people will go and watch it.
I think for SmackDown not being live but being taped, people look at the results and kind of go, I really don't want to sit through 2 hours of this, and they don't watch.
Well, it's not even that.
Live, then people like,
That's what I do.
It's not even that storylines don't progress on SmackDown, really. It's recaps of Raw, rematches of Raw, and it's a testing ground for what's going to happen next week on Raw. There's no actual progression separate from Raw on it.
Yeah, it's just whatever.
It's a B show.
Yeah, if something good happens, if there's a good match that happens, you can guarantee that you will see that same match happen again on Monday. So, I mean, there's no incentive to watch.
Or it's just another match continuing from the Monday night
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
with a crap load of recap.
So are we just past the usefulness of taped shows? Because I don't think that we are, because the WWE network is built on that.
I'm gonna say no, but I think the problem's more the lack of, the lack of originality and storytelling on those shows. Not necessarily just that it's taped. I think being taped doesn't help, but it's certainly not the main problem.
Well, TNA's been taped for the past 2 months, and those shows are fantastic. So.
Yeah, but SmackDown is still beating them.
Oh, well, of course, they have a bigger audience, but I mean, just in terms of my entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Sci-Fi isn't that much bigger than Spike. It's just Spike has terrible content.
No.
What,
Well,
you don't like 8 hours of cops?
Yeah, 8 hours. I'm saying, in terms of households it's in, about as many people have Spike as Sci-Fi. It's just Sci-Fi has other shows people sometimes watch.
I think,
Sci-fi sounds so much more interesting.
and I'll be honest with you, SmackDown's on a Friday night, and if I have a date on a Friday night, guess what? I'm not watching SmackDown.
Yep.
Not watching SmackDown together?
So you
Dave.
get into SmackDown, if you know what I
Come
mean.
on, we fight on Friday night, Moggle.
Although, I will say this, because it's aired on Sportsnet 360 in Canada, it's on twice. So they air from 6 until 9, Raw at 6 until 9 Mondays, and then again from 10 until 1.
Yeah, I know quite a
Canadian.
There's a few companies that do that in Britain, actually. Sky Sports is one of them. You'll see it from, the usual time, and then they'll play it again the next night, about 3 hours earlier.
And then they do it, then they
used to do
re-air it
their-
on a Saturday.
CW, they would play twice in a row, so.
Raw and SmackDown back to back in a row.
Ugh. Tell you what, let's move on to the next question. Rancis, what have we got?
The one that is up next is one we've already touched on a little bit, but you can pick from other matches if you'd like. But there's this idea that Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins is going to steal the show at Night of Champions. True or false? And if false, which match do you think is going to be the match of the night?
False. I think match of the night goes to Orton Jericho. If not, Cena Lesnar.
It's gonna the match of 1,000 headlocks, so I'm going Cena Lesnar.
I'm going.
I can't watch Chris Jericho anymore.
I'm going Cena, Lesnar, or Sheamus, Cesaro. Because Sheamus and Cesaro will tear each other up, which will be fun.
I'm just gonna go with
I'm
Lesnar.
gonna go with that one.
I'm just gonna go with Lesnar Cena.
I think a lot of people expect Lesnar Cena to be the big deal.
It's going to be more competitive than what we saw at SummerSlam. So, I mean, yeah, those guys are going to kill each other.
There's a lot of strain in me and Paul's tag team right now.
I'm actually voting for Rollins and Reigns.
Yeah, that seems to be the popular one on Twitter. Why do you say Rollins and Reigns, Krista?
Well, I think they're hungry enough. I think that the two of them together, because they know each other so well, I think that they could put on a really great match.
I think they're hungry enough, but I don't think Reigns is good enough.
Right.
Maybe not good enough, but definitely hungry enough, and Rollins will make him look good.
Can he make him?
but
And I can honestly
also
see
good.
if they were going to bring Ambrose back, they could probably bring him back, run in the middle of the match, and just probably screw it up for everybody.
To be honest,
No, you can't be honest. You can drop out though, apparently.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, he back. There we go.
See, that's what honesty gets you.
You can be honest, Chris. Chris?
as I was saying, to be honest, if Ambrose just ran in that match and attacked Rollins, the pop he get would be amazing.
Yeah.
I think there's a very good chance that you could see that.
If not that, then I think he comes out and attacks the referee.
I think they want to save Ambrose's return for Monday. Because, I mean, pay-per-views or special events, they don't mean anything anymore. They set up TV now. So
That's easy, isn't it?
Well, if that's the case, I don't think you should announce Dean Ambrose is going to return. I think that should be a matter of Ambrose just runs in, beats the crap out of Rollins, surprises the crowd, and gets a monster pop in the process.
that's what hey, if you or me were booking it, that's what would happen. But
All right, so let's quickly go down the card, just the top matches. Who do you think wins, Cena or Brock Lesnar?
Lesnar.
I'm going to go, who do I think should win? Lesnar. Who do I think is going to win? Cena.
Oh,
Wow.
I think Cena's going to win, Rollins is going to cash in.
I'm going Brock.
Yeah,
I'm also
no,
going
Brock.
Brock.
Chris, you are the perfect thing. You are exactly what WWE want right now. Well done on being a fan.
Why am I what they want? I don't want that to happen. I think it's going to.
You think that's going to, and that's exactly what they want you to think. They think that Cena will win.
Yep, they've built him up to the point where he has a chance. Brilliant. Really is.
But to me, what they're going to do now is they're either going to have Cena winning, Rollins cash in, or they're going to have Lesnar have to get help from Heyman or something.
Yeah. All right, so Rollins or Reigns?
Reigns. Rollins can afford the loss.
Disqualification.
Yeah, I'm going some screwy finish.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the DQ as well.
If you get a DQ, it'll have to be on the case that Ambrose attacks Rollins,
No,
costing
probably
the match.
it will probably be Rollins using his briefcase or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes to hit Ambrose ducks, and he hits Reigns, and boom.
Yeah.
Roman puts Roman super punches the case, puts his hand through it, and there's a DQ. There you
go. Rusev versus Henry.
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 Wow. So
I think Henry wins.
Anymore.
I think Rusev wins because they seem to be pushing Rusev as they're building up people. They're doing exactly what they do with Cena, except for Rusev. They're feeding him people.
And that's why I think Henry wins.
Yeah.
I think they fed him enough.
And then they get a rematch.
I think they'll continue feeding Rusev, and then Rusev will be dethroned. Probably at Survivor Series or Royal Rumble.
I don't know. Like, I'm not a big fan of undefeated streak angles. Like, the only one I've ever really enjoyed was Honky Tonk Man holding on to his belt for forever and then losing in a minute to Ultimate Warrior. The rest of it is, like, I feel like he's more useful after he loses. Like, Umaga was more useful after he lost. And you can use him in other angles and do things.
Yeah, but to me, the undefeated streak isn't that. The undefeated streak is amazing. It's building it up so that he can have a loss, to make the loss a big deal, so he can go from there. That's what has to be the important part.
Okay, next match.
Orton versus Jericho.
Orton.
Yeah,
Orton.
it has to be Orton.
Orton or disqualification, actually.
Christian wins. There we
I'd
go.
say either Orton wins it, or Jericho wins, Orton snaps and takes Jericho out. Hence why he has to leave.
I think it would be a matter of something along the lines of a punt or something, which will result in disqualification.
Dude, I would
I
love
see a
to.
little blow happening.
I don't see the punt happening, but I see something like Orton snaps at something, and he either gets a chair or, for God's sake, they're using cinder blocks now, so they could do that.
Yeah. Sheamus Cesaro.
Cesaro.
I think probably Cesaro.
I want to say Cesaro, but I think Sheamus, because I know what the WWE is like.
I think Cesaro wins.
I think
I
Sheamus
think
probably takes
Cesaro
this.
will win via a DQ, but I don't think the title will change.
Yep. I think this is a whole... Sorry, on you go.
Paige versus AJ versus Nikki Bella for the Divas Championship.
I pray to
I'm
God.
gonna say Nikki,
Yeah, I'm saying Nikki as well.
because I think this is her and Bree's last run. Then I think they're done.
That's a good shout.
I was going to go on the lines of AJ and Paige will distract each other, and Nikki will take one of them out and then pin the other.
Or Paige or AJ will do something to the one, Nikki will come in, throw them out the ring and get the cover.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz.
Ziggler.
Miz.
I'm gonna say Ziggler, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't drop it back to Miz.
Damien Mizdow.
I think it's got to be Miz, because if Barrett returns, they want him to feud with a heel.
This
Wow,
is true.
so Barrett returns as a face.
I think he's going to return as a face this time.
Considering the pops, even though it's a bad news gimmick, considering the pops that he gets when he gives bad news.
Dude, that's just a great line. I can barely speak. That I'm afraid I've got some bad news. You talk about serendipitous finds, dude. That is a great line.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and he gets massive pops for it, even when he was doing it as a heel at the end. People were popping and saying it with him.
Yep.
Yep. And he could definitely use that gimmick on a heel.
He could do it both heel and face. It's amazing, yeah.
Yep.
Usos versus the Dust Brothers for the
Dust Brothers.
Tag
Dust Brothers.
Championships.
Los Dosed Bros.
Wow. Yeah, I concur with everyone else. It's time for a title change.
Yep.
I think it's time for a title change, but I don't know why I see Usos possibly retaining. But I want Goldie and Stardust to win.
Chris, you haven't given a straight answer yet, damn it.
No, I agree with Chris. I think the Usos retain, sadly enough.
Yeah.
Really?
Because they've been pretty lackluster as title champ.
Well, this is what I mean, and this is where I said, I think that they will do one thing, but I think they should do the other.
Here's a swerve for you. How about the Usos retain, and then you know what I'm going to say, right? You know,
The Ascension?
the Ascension comes out,
Yeah.
destroys, and gets a tag title shot.
The Ascension are the only way that I see the Usos winning, and I think it'll be by DQ. Either the match ends because the Ascension attack both teams, or the match ends because Goldust and Stardust win.
I could see the Ascension coming up because they've dropped the titles in NXT.
Yep.
Sin Cara of all people.
I don't know why I see that either happening next week after the pay-per-view, which would make sense. Or,
I don't want them anywhere on my TV. So.
Ooh.
I
To be
like the
Ascension.
Usos.
To be honest,
You don't like
the Ascension aren't that good.
I can't stand them.
Oh, the
Paul,
Ascension are, yeah.
I preferred the original gimmick they had when it was Kenneth Cameron and Conor O'Brien.
Yeah, Bram made that team.
Yeah, he really did, and since then, the whole Egyptian gimmick and all that stuff, it's not the same.
yeah.
Oh man, when I think it's Connor, when he incorporated the yaw thing into a promo, was the worst thing. Like that made me turn on that team even worse than I already had.
I will never forget the whole thing that they did with Kenneth Cameron. When they did the thing when they were on the skyscraper.
Yeah.
And, they said, "We are the gateway to the future," and I sat down and I went, "This is absolutely awesome." And since then, anything that I've seen of the Ascension, since they've changed that gimmick, I've sat down and gone, "This is a load of crap."
Yeah, they've got to do something though. The clock is ticking. Those guys are in their mid-30s, man. And another thing that people don't realize is Roman Reigns is like 34, 35 years old too, man. This is not like these are not young up-and-coming guys.
Yeah, Roman needs to. They need to pull the trigger on Roman, and they need to pull the trigger on the Ascension, ideally.
Okay. Where do you see, if anywhere, Bray Wyatt showing up on this pay-per-view?
Promo?
Yep.
Backstage promo.
It seems strange that they've left him off the card.
Yes, it does.
Is Big Show doing anything?
Oh, Reigns is 29, apparently.
29? I thought he was older than that.
No.
That's
No.
still fairly young. That means he's got a lot of time.
If you can think about it, because I mean, Goldie's like in his 40s.
Yeah, but he's a part-timer.
Goldust?
Yeah.
Goldust is there like all the time.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, since he came back, he hasn't left.
Yeah, he's
Look
been
at
there
this big cheesy
non-stop.
one. He's trolling.
Yeah, he's trolling.
He is
He's
trolling.
trolling.
He's trolling. No, that was really
To be
awful.
fair, I actually did think that Roman was older than 29, so I can understand that.
But yeah,
Yeah, I think-
that's a champion's card right there.
Okay, the interesting thing is that you said Wyatt Big Show doing nothing. If Big Show goes on to face Lesnar after Cena, Big Show would have to beat Wyatt. But I think Wyatt needs a pinfall victory at the minute.
What about Big Show joins the Wyatts?
Ooh.
Ew.
What about he finally becomes the one person that finally sells the effects of what Bray Wyatt is preaching?
That would be terrible.
See, and I think that
It would be a monster Big Show doing the will of Bray Wyatt.
To be fair, with the aggression that he showed on Monday Night Raw, I would not mind that.
What do you dress him like, though? Because you can't dress him like the Wyatts.
No, he
put
can
him in an
stay
orange
whatever he's
jumpsuit
in.
like a prisoner.
Nah, you keep him in whatever he's in. He doesn't need to look like a hillbilly.
I'd actually
Just grow out some beard.
Well, he does have the camo singlet kind of going for him, so.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Just let him grow out the beard.
No.
So does he have to grow out the beard? Because we've already established the more facial hair that Big Show has, the more of a heel he is.
Exactly.
I mean, I think Paul was just positioning for that friggin' Luke Harper, Zeb Coulter babyface run.
Absolutely. I'm trying to find as many things for these guys to do as possible. So
So is it over? Speaking of Zeb Coulter, is it over for Jack Swagger?
No.
It's been over.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
gonna say he's doing fine. Like he's getting some decent reaction. He's doing okay. He's just a mid-card dude.
Really? Because Bo Dallas begs to differ.
Yeah, he just beat Bo Dallas, so there goes that for you.
To be
I
fair,
think that,
just because Vince is doing up on Bo Dallas doesn't mean the writers necessarily have.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
That friggin' okay. I'm not gonna believe that dumbass like rumor crap. Like, dude's been on Raw and SmackDown non-stop and wins the vast majority of the time.
To be
I
fair,
don't think anyone has lost interest in Bo Dallas.
I was going to say, to be fair, Bo Dallas was on Raw. That's more than we said for Adam Rose.
To be fair, Vince created a character named Virgil just as a shot at Dusty Rhodes. So
I thought it was Akeem, the African Dream.
African Dream.
That too, but I mean, Dusty's real name is Virgil Runnels, so. So yeah, it is not beyond him to keep somebody on TV and just make them look like garbage.
Yeah, hence the polka dots.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Or the bunny.
so just because he's on TV doesn't mean that Vince
Yeah,
likes
but he's
him.
not. He's not like jobbing it out. Like he wins the vast majority of the time, even if he lost on Raw this week.
Yeah,
Like,
he just lost clean in something that I thought was going to get held to at least like a pre-show match, the pay-per-view.
Was anybody surprised that Swagger beat Bo Dallas?
Absolutely.
No.
Yes. I was really hoping
Not at
they'd
all.
do this little thing where Bo Dallas kept telling him all you have to do is believe.
No, I fully believed he was going to beat him. I think.
I was actually surprised by that.
I thought it was
Really?
going to go DQ, and then Swagger was going to beat him on a pre-show. Like I knew, I thought from moment one Swagger was going to come out on the win side of this feud. I just thought it was going to be on a pre-show or something.
Do you know what I would love to see? If Chris, you talk about making someone. If Cena loses to Lesnar, and Bo is the one that faces Cena next and gives him the whole Bo leave crap.
That would be fantastic.
He already is John Cena. Here
I
it is. That's
love
what his gimmick
that.
is.
That's brilliant.
And most people don't realize it.
You just have them face each other. It would be amazing.
Go look at Cena's Twitter feed. Try to figure out if it's Bo Dallas saying it or John Cena. You can't do it.
I think that the IWC would implode if that happens because there'd be nobody to boo.
It's just a black
For
hole.
everybody to boo.
Do you think that they would just cheer Bo Dallas to death?
I think the planet.
By kids. And
I
that's
think
the
the-
main audience.
I think the planet would crumple into a black hole from the pressure of these two John Cenas in the ring at the same time. Like they can't touch. If they touch, the world explodes.
Do you think that I could see people chanting the typical "Let's go Cena, Cena"? So I could also see people chanting "I believe."
No, like I said, world just collapses in on itself. Billions die. It's over.
It's the believe chance. We did.
What?
We did get some believe chance on the last show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Raw had some.
what I mean is I can imagine them getting proper loud ones at the. If they did that on Raw as a headlining Raw, Bo Dallas versus John Cena, the entire crowd would be like, "I believe."
I just want those two to be there in the ring, not even touch, and then just a "This is awesome" chant to break out. Because to me, that would be perfect.
It's funny, you guys thought I was joking, I was deadly serious. You can put those two in a match, or at least a feud. You get Bo Dallas over as a heel because kids will... Like, that's the whole point, Cena's main audience is kids. So if you've got this character telling John that he just needs to believe, he'll be fine.
Oh yeah,
I would
run
actually
it as
love
an
to see
angle
that.
for a few weeks. Yeah, run it as an angle for a few weeks, absolutely.
I would actually love to see that for like a month or so, possibly. Just like for one pay-per-view feud. That would be fantastic. I'd love it.
Not on a
No, not
pay-per-view.
pay-per-view. Like 2
Yes,
dead weeks. You put it in like 2 dead weeks.
No, I want to see that as a full-fledged feud, pay-per-view, the whole deal. I want to see them give it the Bray Wyatt treatment. That would be awesome.
I want I want an orchestra performing Bo's theme on the stage as
Yes.
he comes down.
With
Dallas-
eagles being released and
Yeah,
pigeons and
doves.
and
Doves are released into the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, if they really want to bring into it, you bring little Jimmy back. You bring him back, or little Johnny, sorry, and you bring him back. But this time you have him with Bo, and you have him go, "Look, John, you let him down. You need to make him believe," and then just leave it at that.
Whoa,
that
now
kid
that's
could
a
be used with-
callback.
Those
Bring
kids
little
could be
kid.
used as both teams.
Wow, the little kid is brought back. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know either, because the little kids can be really creepy.
I like the
Yeah,
idea of Bray Wyatt and Bo sharing a child.
They just keep it in the
Ew.
family.
The only issue I get with that is that Bo Dallas was a little kid. He looks like enough of a pedo as it is.
Yeah, he does.
He
But let's
does
not
look
point
rather,
fingers.
he does look rather creepy, but
Rensis, do we have any more questions?
I think we've covered our tweeted in questions. That leaves us with the unpopular view of the week. Anybody have an unpopular view of the week?
Yeah, John Cena versus Bo Dallas just totally well happen.
That's not unpopular. That's completely happening now.
That's totally popular.
Unpopular opinion of the week.
It's already
opinion of the week.
booked. It's already booked. Night Champion changed its card just now.
Unpopular opinion of the week. I'm liking The Miz over Dolph Ziggler at the minute. To me, both guys pretty vanilla. I'm not gonna lie, I liked Dolph. I kind of liked what he was doing, but I'm really hating this whole face using heel promo tactics. Like the showing the photos, like last week. To me, that was, something a heel does to the babyface. It's a heel move to show these photos.
I'm actually just sick of, I know what I said, I'm actually just sick of the Ziggler thing at the moment.
Oh, thank God.
Because I loved Ziggler back when he was, cashing in. And when he had the World Heavyweight Championship run, yeah, it was great.
You mean when he had relevancy?
Yeah, but I mean, since then he's become completely irrelevant, and his character is a douchebag. He is a face douchebag.
Yeah, he is what The Miz was when he was a face, and this is why I'm saying I dislike him. He's just doing the same shtick with a cheesy grin, and you can see that he hates it. And all you Dolph fans that are listening, I don't care what you say. Dolph is bland. He can't cut a promo. He gets put in a program with Wyatt, like they're talking about. He gets lost in the mix, and Wyatt looks like gold compared to Ziggler as a pile of shit.
I am a fan of Ziggler. I do like Ziggler. I think he can cut a promo potentially in the right situation with the right people, but
nope.
This is just a load of crap.
If you can cut a promo, it shouldn't matter against who or what situation.
Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, Dolph can't do either.
No,
he couldn't cut a promo when he was world champ.
Yeah, his promo 2 weeks ago just exposed how abysmal this guy is.
Like, in all honesty, if that's his promo skills, I never want to see his comedy show.
He does a comedy show?
I couldn't watch an hour of him on his own on stage. I'd want to split my wrists. No, that's dead serious, sadly. Ain't no joke here. It ain't no Dolph show.
My opinion about Ziggler is that he does better as a heel than a face.
Much better.
Turn him heel, let him be a douchebag. Miz should be the one that's a douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Miz and Dolph should be. Miz and Dolph should be together. They should be teamed up.
The issue I've got here is that I very much think that either one of those, it doesn't really matter who wins the IC title at the moment, be it Ziggler, be it Miz, have them heel. If it's Ziggler, have him turn heel, and feud with Barrett when he comes back. And that's all you need. It doesn't matter who it is, it's not relevant.
What about when Tyler Breeze comes up? He beats Ziggler for the IC belt.
Now that would be interesting, surely, to see the Miz's reaction to that.
Well, he would be with Miz.
Yeah, but what I mean is, would Miz be annoyed that his protege is the one that's defeated him and he hasn't?
Well, Miz would help him do it, so he'd be okay with it. I'm trying to usher Miz into just a pure mouthpiece.
Oh right, okay. In that case, yeah, I can see what you're saying.
I could see it, but I could also see them going along the lines of Miz's ego getting in the way.
Yes, that was what I meant. Like if they had Tyler Breeze win it, Miz then gets jealous and Miz then says, "I taught you everything. I'm better than you." All that kind of crap.
Mm.
Yep.
But then Tyler Breeze, who's a better heel, ends up being a face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the problem, which is why I don't think Tyler Breeze should win it off of.
If you want to make both of them heel, you have Tyler Breeze beat Dolph for it, and then hand the title to The Miz.
Yes, that would be perfect.
That's good. And they
give him the belt and just say, "I'll give you the belt."
They're the male way cool.
Yeah,
they are the male way cool.
Yeah.
And my unpopular view of the week is that it is time for us to be out of here. This has been the LoWDown.
Indeed, this has been LoWDown. Thank you to everyone who's listened. Don't forget, if you guys are listening tonight, Thursday night, same time as usual, we are debuting our new show, funny enough, called Showdown. We like our wordplay. Don't be afraid to come on. It's a very different style show. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it. Keep in touch. Make sure you send us your questions through the week, and we will put them in the mailbag for next week. So a big thank you to everyone who's been on tonight. As per usual, the panel has been fantastic, and I will send out a tweet with everyone's names. So thank you and good night.
Peace out.
See ya.
Damien Mizdow for life.